Welcome to my home, where I'm going to be videoing a new series all about domestic authenticity. I hope to share many ideas to inform and inspire you to live a full life, from cooking and baking to gardening and entertaining. Since the early 1900s, the concept of home economics has inspired a holistic approach to how we live and entertain in our homes. I encourage you to find your own vision of creativity within yours so that you can feel pride in the connection that you create with it. Join me as we explore life at home with Joseph.
Hey there, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to talk about some hors d'oeuvres that are really great for entertaining, and one of my favorites is a pate choux puff, which is a very versatile type of a pastry, and it can either be savory or sweet. And even though we are in the middle of a pandemic, we shouldn't forego making plans to entertain, even if it's just for the few people that are in your household. Now, this year, even more so than previously, really take the effort to make it special. It's a great time of year to appreciate everything that we actually do have in life. And today we're going to make two versions. We're going to make a savory version, which I serve at all of my parties. The second pastry that we're going to make is actually miniature eclairs. Because I'm already making the pate choux, I will actually do both of these recipes. It's taking care of killing two birds with one stone, and it really does make a nice presentation. So pate choux is a very old French pastry, and the ingredients that it requires is 1 cup of milk. I actually use a half a cup of water and a half a cup of milk. 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. It is very important that you sift the flour ahead of time. You don't want any lumps that will not dissolve when you're making your paste. You have 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter and 1 teaspoon of salt. If you're making just a sweet variation of this, you can also add in 1 tablespoon of sugar if you're making eclairs or a gâteau or anything like that. But today we're going to leave that out. So to begin the process, you want to boil your water and milk mixture with your salt, get it all in there, and your butter. So what we want to do is bring all of this mixture to a boil, but we don't want to boil out the liquid that's in there. So before it actually comes up to a boil, you want to get the butter to actually melt into the milk mixture, and then we'll bring it up to a rolling boil. If it were to start boiling now while the butter was trying to melt, you would just end up evaporating the liquid. Once the liquid starts coming to a full boil, so not just a little bit around the pot, but the whole pot starts to come to a full boil, we're going to dump in our flour and set the heat on low, because we do still want to cook out the flour. So we've come to a full boil here. I'm going to turn this down to low, dump in the flour, and I'm going to stir this mixture. And this is going to, gets a little bit messy, but it's going to stir into a full lump of flour. So don't be concerned that you've got a really stiff mixture here. But we're going to cook it for about another minute just to burn off some of the flour flavor. Make sure that all of the lumps of flour in it are dissolved. You can see we have a really stiff mixture here. And you'll know this dough is done cooking when it starts to leave a faint trail of dough along the bottom of the pan. And I'll show you what that looks like. That's about done. When you start to see this part of the dough, you're done. So we are going to transfer this to our mixing bowl fitted with a paddle mixer and add the rest of the ingredients. So we've got our hot dough. We're going to turn this into the mixture fitted with a paddle. And on very low speed, while the mixture is hot, you want a little bit of steam out of it. But while it's hot, you're going to add in 1 egg at a time until it's mixed. You do not want to over whip this dough, so on a low speed is just fine. And it will look somewhat curdled as you're doing this. And what I'm putting in are 5 eggs. So I've separated 5 whole eggs, and I'm adding them one at a time, and I've got a 6th egg here that I've whisked into an egg mixture because I may not need that whole egg if I need it at all. Really depends on the consistency of the dough. And the reason that I do this is because at the end you're going to want to do an egg brush on all of the batter before you get it into the oven, and in an effort to not waste an egg, if I don't use all of this, I can use that. So the best way to test this dough to see if it's done is to pull your spatula out. And if your dough hangs, it's okay that it drips, but if it hangs like that off of your paddle, it's done. So now we're going to scoop this into our pastry bag, and the easiest way to do this is to set your pastry bag in some type of a vessel and use an ice cream scooper to scoop the batter into the bag. And I've prepared 2 different bags. Because I'm going to show you 2 different types of ways for piping them. And with your dough in your bag, in your pastry bag, and you want to squeeze it out, you don't want to do it in rounds, you want to do it more in kind of the style of a blob, for the best way to say it. And pull up at the very end so you got a little peak. We're going to push those down. And so these are going to bake nice and puffy and beautiful and airy. You're going to bake these in a 425-degree oven for the first 10 minutes. And then we're going to lower it down. And that really high heat is going to help these to puff up. And so the second dough that we're going to do is we're going to make profiteroles. And the reason why this is in a different bag is because I prefer to use a star tip when piping these. The star tip is going to help to give a really long, uniform shape to the eclair when it's baked. To make the eclair, you want to go very slowly and evenly and make a log. And I'm using the one end of my silpat as a guide to keeping the same size of these. And the other shape we're going to do is I have created this round template out of a piece of plastic. And one of the molds that you can do for filling, this is more of a table presentation, but you can make a circle out of it. Oops. And this form just helps you keep a circle base. And I usually go over the top of it with another layer because I want this to be nice and big and thick. And then once that's piped, we're just going to carefully pull our form out of there, and we've got a nice circle. And we're also going to give these an egg wash. Help smooth out the sides. So this round one, when it's filled, we're going to cut it in half, fill it with a mousse, and then you can present it on your table with the center of it filled with some fresh raspberries or some blueberries, and it makes a really nice dessert when you're having a dinner party. And these will now go into our 425-degree oven to start the process, and we'll check on them in a few minutes. So the savory filling that we're going to make for our puffs for entertaining is a curried chicken salad. This is a very old recipe of mine. It is a great crowd pleaser that everybody loves when I serve it at parties. And it really makes a great filling for the puffs that we just baked off. So some of the ingredients in the curried chicken salad is chopped up shallots, 2 tablespoons of curry powder, chopped dill, capers, celery that's chopped up, canned pineapple. Now there is something very important to tell you, that you cannot use fresh pineapple in this recipe. It has to be canned. The fibers are too raw in the fresh pineapple if you were to put it in there, and it actually spoils the chicken salad. So pineapple that's canned in pineapple juice, and then it's chopped, slivered almonds, blonde raisins, Duke's mayonnaise, and quartered red grapes. And to 3 chicken breasts, we're going to add all of these, and we are going to mix them. And I also am going to add just a little bit of Maldon finishing salt in this. I do not salt this dish when I'm making it because the chicken is cooked in a very well salted water. So I want to wait until the end to taste it to see what it does taste like. Again, you want to add just enough salt so that you can taste all of the ingredients. The curry, the mustard, the dill, the shallots. Perfect. So one very important step when making these is when they're just about done, you want to pull them out and poke a hole in them because you don't want moisture to be trapped in them, otherwise they'll fall. And then you want to put them right back into the oven for about another 3 minutes on a low temperature just to let them crisp up. But these are pretty well done, so we're just going to let those finish off. We have these beautiful round golden puff pastries, and they have a really nice crispy shell to them. So we're going to very gently, with a serrated knife, we are going to slice through them, and look how beautiful that came out. So those are going to get filled with the chicken salad. So with all of our shells cut, we're going to scoop in some chicken salad into it. And I like to use a small little scooper like this because it gets the chicken salad in there in one scoop. It's nice and clean. And then you can put the top on it like that. Isn't that just beautiful? These are curried chicken salad puffs made with a pate choux and my homemade curried chicken salad recipe. Not only do I love to make these, but I also love to eat them. So for the next portion, to show you another use that you can use with pate choux, this is actually a ring that we've made, and we're going to fill this with some of our espresso mousse. And this is going to be a presentation that you could take to a table when you're entertaining for a bunch of guests. But using a ice cream scooper, I like to scoop my mousse right into the ring. Keeps it nice and clean. And you know you're getting an even amount all the way around. We are very carefully going to place the top of the ring back on. And just give it a little bit of a push down. I've got some washed and dried raspberries here. We are going to fill the center with some of these raspberries. Give it a nice heaping mound of them. And then we're going to finish this with a little bit of confectionery sugar sprinkled all the way around it. Doesn't that look nice and festive for Christmas? Maybe a few leaves on either side of the platter. And you have a beautiful dessert that you can present to your friends or family, anybody that comes over for entertaining. And all you've got to do is just cut slices out of this and serve it and give them some raspberries. And you have a really light, delicious, wonderful dessert. So we're going to slice these open. Look how beautiful the inside of those are. These are going to get filled with our pastry cream. And the filling that we made is an espresso mousse. So in order to fill these, I'm going to show you a little trick just in case that you don't have a piping bag. So in a Ziploc bag, I'm going to make sure all the air is out of here. I scooped in my mousse into there, and I'm just going to clip off a very small corner of this bag. So I'm going to very carefully pipe this in. This is going to be so delicious. So now we're going to reapply our tops to this. Not squishing too hard on them. You don't want all of that nice mousse to spill out of them. You want to have a very clean presentation. And we are just going to very gently dip these into just a little bit of chocolate just on the top. Like that. They don't have to be loaded with chocolate. This is just going to make a really beautiful presentation. And this is just a chocolate ganache that we're dunking these into. So this is one bag of dark chocolate chips. So I like to use 60% or darker, and 1 tablespoon of butter. And then I let it cool till it's of a thicker consistency that I can dip these in and it will stick to the tops of them. And the best part about making all of these is that you get to actually sample them. It's so delicious. Just the right amount of chocolate, a nice crispy shell, and a very light espresso mousse in there. It is the perfect finger dessert to serve to your guests during the holidays. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you at the Q&A session. Thank you.